bit in Star Trek when Kirk sees the alien he's going to have sex with. It's like, I couldn't believe it. Just that.
Hello?
Andrew, the Public Defender's Office.
Yo, what's up, man?
Hi. What can I do for you?
Did you get my messages?
Yep.
So where are we with the subpoenas?
What are we subpoenaing?
We're subpoenaing receipts for the people who were there to witness. We're subpoenaing the media, again, from the store. We're subpoenaing the federal surveillance for the assault on Pearl Street. We're subpoenaing the phone records for...
I don't know anything about an assault on Pearl Street.
When I was assaulted by the cop.
On Pearl Street?
On Pearl Street in front of the federal building.
I don't know anything about this. I mean, the whole confrontation that we're dealing with happened right at City Market, right?
The arrest continued and the assaults took place between City Market and the police department.
I'm afraid I don't understand. I mean, I know, from what I understand, you got arrested at City Market. So what happened at Pearl Street?
He slammed on his brakes. My head slammed into the bulletproof glass. I believe I explained that on an answering message for you.
I don't recall that at all. And this happened in front of on Pearl Street, heading to the police station.
Yeah, I was right in front of the federal building, in front of the post office, directly in line with the camera where the surveillance happens to be.
Okay.
Then there's a subpoena from Department of Homeland Security or the city for the media. They have in common from City Market. So you know we're on any of those subpoenas?
No, I don't plan on issuing those subpoenas.
And why is that?
I don't believe they'll produce any useful information.
You don't believe that subpoenaing the media from the store will produce any useful information?
No, we talked to them. Like I left you in your message, and we talked to the head of security. He said there's no cameras where the incident took place, and anything else that was recorded from their cameras would have been recorded over by now.
Yeah, I mean, that could very clearly be withholding evidence and destruction of evidence willfully if some of the angles did cover the arrest and where the arrest began is in dispute. And they have to also say that none of the cameras from the store aimed out of the window and could have seen me getting to the police car where the arrest continued and I was sexually assaulted, where the cameras begin, where the produce section is, where the officer was when the arrest began, and where he may have been thrown back during the violence which ensued, exiting the parking lot. They're saying that many camera stations were missing, and they're also saying that the camera station was missing at the key point of entry of the store. Do you find that suspicious?
I mean, have you talked to them about this? Because, I mean, all they're saying is that the cameras didn't cover the area where the arrest took place, and anything else would have been recorded over by now.
Do you believe that it would be possible for a store of such significance as the major food necessity vehicle for the residents of Burlington not to have coverage at the point of entry?
Sure, I think it's possible.
And you don't think that they would have it in the parking lot or in the produce section either?
I don't know.
That would be a reason then to...
It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't.
So we're going to need to subpoena the media from them. Anyway,
No,
so
they don't have it.
Well, they may not have it, but they can explain that in the subpoena.
Well, they're just going to say everything's been recorded over.
Then why don't we go ahead and charge them with withholding and destruction of evidence?
Because I can't charge anybody with anything.
How can you... Well, there's been a crime. Have you reported it to somebody?
I don't think there's been a crime.
You don't think they withheld evidence and they destroyed willfully evidence which would have...
I don't have any reason to believe that at this point.
Okay, despite those camera angles. All right, so what about the rest of it? What about those other... Were you listening to my phone calls?
Yeah.
So you don't remember any of them? You just didn't...
I have some notes on them. Well, why don't you tell me what you were thinking?
Okay, well, where are you on citizen's arrest? Do you acknowledge that it exists yet?
You haven't given me anything that indicates citizen's arrest.
So there's no such thing as citizen's arrest. All right. Let's see. What about the ethics of not crossing the doctor who contradicts himself within his report?
I don't understand what you mean.
The doctor says that I have no interest in a good charge. I'm not interested in a good charge, good result of the charge. However, he also in the same document invokes that I want to be exonerated from the charges, and I want charges processed on those who I believe are guilty of crimes. That's a contradiction.
Okay.
So, are you going to cross the doctor? Do you find it ethical now to cross the doctor since he's contradicted himself and possibly committed medical malpractice?
Well, I believe the doctor is accurate. Now, what is this? What is your situation with getting another doctor or another lawyer?
I'm wondering, another doctor and another lawyer. I've retained another doctor, and I have the money to pay the other doctor.
Okay, do you have an appointment with him yet?
I have to set the appointment now that I just have gotten payment.
Okay.
What did you say to Linder?
I told Linder what the situation was. I told him that exactly what we had discussed, that the court had ordered evaluation, that we had gotten that evaluation back. The evaluation said that the doctor thought you were not sane and not competent, and that I agreed with that assessment. And, he was free to, evaluate you if you want. He said that it was not his policy to take on clients in cases, criminal cases like this, who are represented by counsel, when the counsel is not involved with hiring him.
Though you were committed to hiring one through the court and the order and the mandate of providing the list of these experts for hire specifically, right?
Right, for you to hire your own, using your own money to hire your own.
To hire my own, and you're forced to delegate this appointment. So you're actually required for the hiring.
I don't have to make the appointment between you and the doctor.
That's funny because you just basically saying that the doctor's saying it's between me and them.
Right, it is. And he says he won't do it without me being involved, without me hiring him. And I said we can't hire him.
Because you don't believe it's necessary.
Well, and my office doesn't believe it's necessary. That's correct.
How could your office make that determination if they don't have any experience directly dealing with me?
Because we read Dr. Cott's report, and
The one with you agree with the doctor's report, which has a contradiction in it?
Yep.
You agree with the one that also stipulates the wrong date?
I don't know which one stipulates the wrong date.
What date was I arrested?
I don't have that information right up here. I don't have your file right in front of me.
Okay, well, there's the wrong date. They're talking about August 28th. It happened September 28th.
Okay.
That's a problem. What does it mean when you put the wrong date on a legal document and put your name to that date with those events?
I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
Is that perjury?
No, if it's a mistake, it has to be willful.
How do we know it's not willful? Why is he putting the wrong date? Wouldn't he have known? Wouldn't he have had a chance to know? The cop may get away, but not the doctor.
Sure, but what is his motivation for putting the wrong date?
That puts it into question. How would I know his motivation? Maybe it's to antagonize me. He did get a phone call. Did you get the records of that phone call? Did you question the doctor on the phone call? Did you get the phone call? Who was he talking to? How long was the call that he had?
I haven't talked to him about that.
When are you going to do that? When are you going to do that?
I don't plan to.
When are you going to make a motion to withdraw based on communication conflicts between you and I?
The court will not let me withdraw.
The court denied an original withdrawal request by me, but you may make a motion to withdraw based on communication problems which have ensued.
Right, but when I have a client who I believe is not sane and not competent, it would be unethical for me to withdraw.
And your reasons for declaring me incompetent are?
Because I've had plenty of conversations with you, and I've read Dr. Cott's report, and I agree with it.
And the plenty of conversations do not indicate that I can understand the law, that I can communicate with you about the law or aid my own defense?
That's correct.
You believe that these subpoenas requests do not aid my defense and do not distinctly connote or denote of any kind a rational understanding of the law?
That's correct.
So I'm asking you for subpoenas and I'm not able to aid my defense or communicate about the law.
That's what I believe.
You understand that's a conflict?
It's a fact that you and I disagree.
I
have an obligation to a client that I believe is not sane and not competent.
Yeah, I'm questioning on the belief of your ability to understand whether or not I'm competent or incompetent. Do you have a conflict of interest?
What do you mean a conflict of interest?
Do you have any conflict of interest? Do you know somebody who pertains to the other side of the case?
If I had a conflict of interest, I would withdraw from the case.
Are you a member of City Market?
I'm not.
Did you find out whether the member of the city market, any of the staff dealing with this in the court, if the doctor is, if any of the judges are, if the prosecutor is, if any of the transcribers are, any of the staff have interacted with are?
Nope.
Are you going to find out if they are?
I'm not.
You don't feel there would be conflict of interest whatsoever there?
I do not.
All right. Let's see what else here. All right. I think I'm good with you now. What's your game plan there? I'm listening to you now, Counselor. So what's your game plan? What do you want from me on Tuesday?
Well, I think the court's looking to see if you had done your evaluation or at least set up an appointment with your separate evaluator.
All right. You understand I'm going to make a motion for your withdrawal based on precedents that you're unwilling to look up?
You can move the court to do whatever you like.
Why do you think it took you 2 weeks to get back to me on these questions?
Well, I didn't think. I don't think a lot of your questions are very relevant to this case.
Did you make a CIA hand gesture at any time during the interim meeting that I had with you initially before we had court the first time?
And that's a great example. No.
I'm just asking you, Counsel. I did not verify that. I need to ask you. That's what I just think saw. So you did not actually make a curled forefinger, and then your middle finger and your ring finger went out together, and you did not separate that from your pinky intentionally.
Nope.
And it's not possible that you did that by accident either?
I don't make hand signals.
I'm just checking with you. That's what I saw that. So you are not, in fact, CIA. I mean, of course not. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you're not a Freemason by any chance, are you?
No.
Well, I appreciate you answering me directly. I'll see you in court on Tuesday. Thank you very much for your defense.
Okay.
Bye.
Hi, I'm looking for the managing attorney. Is Gilbert in here? Dana? Hi, how are you? She's looking for Mr. Gilbertson for me.
Hey Dana.
How's it going?
What's going on?
Nothing, I just want to talk to you if you get a chance.
Sure. Let me see if I can find a room. There, room up here. Sorry. Okay, hold on a second.
Sure.
What's going on?
Oh, I just wanted to clarify some things, get a few answers, and go over a few things with you. First of all, let's see. So you agree 100% with that report by Dr. Cotton?
Yes.
Every statement?
I agree with the report's conclusion.
Are there any contradictions or problems in the report?
I don't see any that are significant enough. Do you want to point them out to me?
Yeah, I would mind them. Thank you for the opportunity. The first thing is that if I'm only interested in dismissal, then why am I fighting and paying money to avoid one?
To avoid a dismissal?
Yes, I can get a dismissal from an incompetency verdict, from being found incompetent.
Right, the state could dismiss it.
So far, every attorney has told me that the most likely scenario is that the charges will be dismissed with the contingency that I go and have a psychiatric treatment program of some kind. So, if I'm paying for another evaluation specifically to avoid a dismissal, how am I only interested in the dismissal?
You get another evaluation to avoid a dismissal?
I don't want a dismissal. I want to go through a trial so that I can present evidence and either be acquitted or found not guilty, or the charges would be dismissed with a different result, that it wouldn't have a psychiatric drug program.
Okay.
So if I'm interested in only a dismissal, as the doctor says, I wouldn't be doing that, would I?
That was your only concern? Let me find where he says that.
It's going to be at the bottom of that page.
This one?
I can find it for you. Right here. He's not motivated for the charge, he's only motivated for the charge to be dismissed. Last sentence for the second left there.
That's one of the things he said, but not the only thing.
I don't understand the relevance of that. We're focusing on one thing. That's the one thing I'm bringing up now.
Okay. He's not motivated for a good result of the charge, he's only motivated to have his charge be dismissed. Okay?
Can that be true?
Well, this report was written before you went and got an evaluation with Dr. Nash, right?
Yes.
So how would you include that in there?
How would who include what?
How would Dr. Cotton include the evaluation that you took after you talked to him?
Well, obviously that wouldn't be possible.
Right.
But he was not correct, though, was he?
He may not have been correct that he only wanted a dismissal.
So you don't agree?
No, I think that, you are motivated for, to get the charge, acquitted, right? That's what you want.
Acquitted, not dismissed?
Right. I'm not sure if he distinguishes between dismissal or acquittal.
Does he say acquittal or dismissal?
He says dismissal.
So why do you think he's not saying acquittal or dismissal?
Because sometimes they conflate two words.
Do the two words mean the identical thing?
No.
Then why is it in question what he means?
Oh, yeah. So if he's incorrect about that line, then where do we go from there?
Well, you could disagree with his finding. You could disagree with that point of the finding at least.
I agree with his finding based on our discussions, based on all of what he said, based on the fact that he is a psychiatrist, and I'm not, that he's evaluated you. And you got a report from Dr. Nash?
Well, before we get to Dr. Nash, let's just say a few things. You're willing to agree with something that he's been proved wrong to state.
Proved wrong? He hasn't been proven anything.
So I am only interested in a dismissal. I'm not interested in a good result of the charge.
What are you interested in?
I'm interested in a good result of the charge, which in my opinion is going through the trial process, being found not guilty, and ascribing charges to those who in evidence are found to have committed crimes against
And that would
them.
go to the point where he says he would not be able to control the he had fixed ideas about what he would or would not do with these charges. He did not think it necessary to seek the attorney's opinion, although he could assist in cross-examination was difficult in the process manner. He could not engage in plea bargaining as his delusional ideation tended to legal system.
Yeah, I've read that before.
So he insists he has no jeopardy. He believes that police will be charged with crimes for which they will be convicted. He does not understand his risk, not acknowledge that there may be persons who do not share his opinion.
You don't share my opinion
On what?
on whether or not I'm competent.
I do
Right.
not share your opinion. No.
Okay, so I just told you that you don't share my opinion, so that's also wrong, right?
Okay.
So it's 2 points that are wrong.
So you've been able to read this, right? And you're trying to convince me that psychiatrist is incorrect.
Okay. I mean, you should be. I mean, it should be perfectly obvious to you that there's gross fallacies in this, that I'm able to aid my defense, that I'm able to communicate with you, that I understand what you're saying, that I understand what that means.
And Dr. Nash?
I'd like to go over this before we get to Dr. Nash. I have quite a bit to say as economically as I can, but you just went over a lot of points in this. I'd like to, if you don't mind, just redress them. Just take a moment. Has no jeopardy. That's not true. Let me put it this way. I believe I had the right to go into that shopping market because I believe that the trespass was not a legally issued trespass based on the international human right law to guarantee me adequate food in the community. If I'm proved wrong in a court of law, I do not have the right. Then I did not have the right. So I recognize that I could be wrong, that there is risk, that there's jeopardy. I could be convicted of trespass for simply being inaccurate about the law. So what I was doing was going to protest. I did not believe they had the legal right. They would not listen. I got no help from people in the local community to help me with the problem. So I made them aware that I was going in nonviolently to get food and water, where I was feeling a right and a legal entitlement to do so.
Okay.
So I was willing to go through the court process and be proved wrong. If I'm willing to go through and be proved wrong, then there is jeopardy, right?
So why, rather than go to the store, didn't you file a civil action?
Well, there's several reasons. One, I don't have money. I don't have experience in it.
So you did something you knew you were illegal. Was legal.
No. I'm saying that I don't believe it was illegal for me to do it because the trespass order was not a legally issued one.
Right, and rather than challenging the trespass order, you just disobeyed it.
Well, yes, but in challenging the trespass order by disobeying it, it will go through the court system. Evidence can be introduced, and that can be proved right or wrong. It's just like Occupy Wall Street. They feel they have a right to be there. If they're arrested, they're probably going to get convicted because they are trespassing.
Okay.
In my opinion, in this particular case, because it's a utilitarian necessity provided and regulated by the municipality, they do not have the right to stem my lines of food, to survival.
Okay.
That's guaranteed under law. So
you have no jeopardy.
I don't have jeopardy. How do I not have jeopardy?
You just told me that you've got a right to do it. So.
Well, in my opinion, however, I'm saying to you again, I'll repeat to you that I may be wrong. I could be proved wrong in a court of law. I recognize that I could be wrong. Right? So is that jeopardy? Can I get convicted?
Be wrong, and then what?
Then I could be convicted and do up to 1 year and 3 months in jail.
Okay.
Right? Is that jeopardy? Is that jeopardy, sir?
Do you think that's going to happen?
If I
What do
did,
you think the likelihood is that happening?
to be honest with you, even if I was trespassing, the nature of the illegality of the arrest itself would probably lead to a dismissal of the charges anyway, in my opinion.
So you wouldn't be convicted?
I don't believe I would be convicted, but I believe it's possible.
Okay.
Is that clear? I mean, that's
Yeah.
clear enough about the jeopardy that I do believe I have jeopardy, right?
Okay.
Okay, so I have jeopardy. I'm not interested in just a dismissal. Let's see. I don't understand my risk. I think I've clarified that with you. All right, you don't have a problem with suspiciousness. He contradicted himself and got a phone call and was late, and he actually insulted me. He ridiculed me a little bit. Do you agree that I'm not able to consult with you in a reasonable degree of rational understanding?
I think you and I can have a lot of discussions about that, but I do not think that when it comes down to me saying, look, I don't think you've got legal ground to stand on, and you disagree with me, that you will say, you're right, you're a lawyer, I will take your advice. I don't think you and I can have a discussion about what is the better thing to do.
That doesn't really answer my question. Do I have the ability to consult with you with a reasonable degree of rational understanding?
I don't think you do.
So, what am I not understanding? What's common law powers of arrest?
Common law powers of arrest, first of all, with all the research you sent me, you have to see where you found it. You found it under tort. You know what tort is?
Go ahead.
Tort is a civil action, meaning like suing someone personally for damages, okay? All of the cases that you sent me were about, or the Vermont cases anyway, I haven't looked up Washington yet, were about the police being defended to a civil suit by the person arrested, saying you do not have the right to arrest me. Actually, I should say that the ones were saying they didn't have a right to arrest the person because they were outside of the bounds, and then the state came back and said no, they've got a right to citizen's arrest, and the court said yes, they do. Those, of course, were, and a lot of their support for that was in torts. Okay?
Tort is
civil action.
Yes.
Civil action. This is not a civil action. Okay?
I know.
Okay. Citizen's arrest is a defense to someone suing you. It is not a right that you inherently have.
If a security guard witnesses a disturbance of the peace, can he arrest him and restrain him until the cops arrive?
You can use reasonable force to prevent theft. Don't stop people with theft.
Prevent the theft, but not anything else? So you don't believe...
Reasonable force to prevent shoplifting.
To prevent theft?
Yes.
But not any other crime? Just theft?
That is called shopkeeper's defense.
I understand that, but can a security guard who's not using a shopkeeper's defense put somebody under citizen's arrest for a reason other than theft?
Yes, I think they probably could.
Okay, so somebody who is not an officer of the law can put somebody under arrest for a disturbance of the peace.
What do you mean can? What's that? I mean,
it's legally entitled.
Is there a punishment for it?
It's something that
in a civil suit, if you two people are fighting outside of two people are fighting outside the city market, he goes up and tackle somebody, and that person sues him, then he could say, no, it was a citizen's arrest for breach of the peace. I was allowed to tackle you and prevent you from breaching the peace.
Okay, so, well, if you witness a breach of the peace that's already been breached, then they can also arrest them.
So what was the breach of the peace that you observed?
An assault on my body, harassment, using a word that was associated with something I was speculating to be murder, and again about this MK Ultra nonsense. I was speculating something about that on my Facebook. I mean, I understand how crazy that is. Not even my own mother understands that. Okay. I have extensive knowledge of the Central Intelligence Agency program on mind control. It's very, very central to New England. A lot of it was in Canada where they were wiping people's minds. It's very suspicious to me that Howard Center refused to give me any services or contact after I asked them simply to deny that they were part of that program, which I fully expected them to do. If you say, yo man, are you part of the CIA MK Ultra program, do you expect them to say yes? No, it's a ludicrous question. It's ridiculous, really. But he didn't answer, and then he suspended my services. So that says to me, maybe it's true. It is an existent system. It's in evidence. It does go on. So my point is that the person who used that word with me,
what was the word?
He used a variation on the word Marides. This is a little complicated. I was on my Facebook and I was relating I know.
Facebook's like a refrigerator. You know how?
Because you stick a whole bunch of crap on it. And
well, that's a good too. But when you open a refrigerator and you look at, you know there's nothing in there, but you keep opening it up, hoping there's something good.
I don't understand actually.
Like you know there's nothing in the fridge, but you go look anyway. It's like Facebook. You know there's nothing good on Facebook, but you go look anyway.
I disagree. I just think there's great stuff on Facebook. I've made really great friends on Facebook. I found a lot of valuable information on Facebook. You're probably right. I mean, I'm very radical and very I agitate a lot of people on my Facebook. In this particular case, it's a little complicated. What happened is, I was watching a video about Roseanne Barr, who claims and speaks out about being a victim of the CIA and HALO program. She talks about how she was coded. So I just happened to be watching a thing about her the day before I posted this thing on Facebook. Then I watched and posted a thing on a Facebook about Disney, Walt Disney and Disneyland. There's this man who's a researcher who has done all kinds of research and claims, that there's pedophilia stuff, that there's a CIA thing, that there's underground crazy stuff, like all these, horrible, evil, dark Prince of Hollywood kind of stories. That family that I was talking about with the last name of Martes, M-I-R-T-E-S, were coming back from Disney World, and they died in a horrible car crash, and very sad. A grandmother, a mother, and a daughter all died. Their names happen to be Rose Ann and Roseanne Martes. It also happens that I play in a band with a man named Marty. You didn't listen to my music?
I didn't know. What is it? I have no idea.
I play guitar, drums, bass, I sing. Hey!
What do you play?
Guitar.
No, where, what do you gigs? If you guys just jam?
I got a blues band starting. There's a YouTube page with something called the Black Triangle on it. That's not my band name. I wanted it to be called Slot, but that's like an art, crypto rock, crude, kind of dirty, grungy thing with non-pros. I'm used to a real slick thing, I work as a songwriter mostly, and I had gross stage fright, probably because of my autism or whatever. But I've only had very few gigs, but I've done a lot of recording work. I had a $50,000 recording and contract with a Grammy-nominated producer. Worked with a multiple gold-winning drummer. My stuff's been on the radio. David Bowie's heard my music. Robert Smith of The Cure is on my Facebook. I have some success. I'm endorsed by Robles Road Cases and Script Core Guitars. I have a classical string quartet for a movie that I was commissioned to write, which was completed and recorded. I'm a pretty experienced and skilled musical personality, whatever it's worth. So, anyway, getting back to that. So, I had posted some pretty crazy stuff. On the Facebook about the Marty stuff. I was saying I didn't think it was an accident. I just thought. I didn't believe. I thought it was very strange that it was the Disneyland thing. The names were all Rose and Ann and Roseanne, and that it happened to be the same last name as the man in my band for one thing. But then the next 2 days later, I went back into the city market, and when I was checking out, just as I'm checking out and walking past, I actually expected him to assault me in my ear. I wore earplugs, which you can still hear through most decibel ranges, but frequency ranges. But he said, he went like this. He went like, marry me, something like that. It was real. It was real weird and kind of disgusting the way he said it. I didn't put it together in my head what was happening. And the lady who was working behind the customer service desk turned to him and said, "What does that word mean? I've never heard that before." And I just walked out. Then I put it together in my mind. I was going, "What did he mean this time?" Because a week before, I had jammed with a man named Sharky in my band, and the next day I went into City Market and he was talking about sharks just as I walked past. This sort of thing had happened a lot, and this is why I didn't report it to the police, because I knew that it would be very difficult to prove. I have a psychiatric history. They'd say I'm paranoid, and there's a lot more that happened at City Market that I didn't include, or that I didn't ever. That's not part of this. There was somebody in there who, every time I walked in the door, he would just look up, he'd make eye contact with me, he wouldn't stop looking at me in the eyes, it's very unwelcome. And I would walk down the aisle, and I expected him to keep staring after me. I'd turn back, and there he is looking at me. Thought that was aggressive. There were people laughing at me on sight. There was a woman who, as I passed her by, she went like this. She literally did a dance like that. Like that, it's Pantheon, and that was outside of City Market. So I felt legitimately that I was being targeted, possibly for my radical politics, my 9/11 truth, my anti-Zionist beliefs, or my radical science. I'm a time physicist, a theoretical physicist, and I've invented something called 1 equals T, or 1 equals infinity. No two things are alike, therefore no numbers past 1 can be proven except to demonstrate this formula, which, if proved to be true, if that's accepted in science, then technically finite mathematics is over, which means that you can go into a store or a bank and say, here, I give you a penny, and by mathematical reality, in physical truth, you have to give me any denomination of any number, because 1 is equal to all you have.
You're jumping from physical,
possible motive
into monetary theory, which is a whole different ballgame.
I disagree. Economics is...
Well, the whole idea of money is you go back to what it really is, what do banks lend out? It's not one thing right now. Banks lend out, it's called
fractional reserve?
Yeah, fractional reserve.
9 times more than they get?
Yeah, they loan out 9 times and then what they have.
Yeah, I know. It's actually, that's why I think why I have so much trouble. I don't start with the Federal Reserve from 1913. The dollar's been devalued by 99% in less than 100 years for that reason, with fiat currency. I'm pretty well versed in economic history. I'm not great. My brother is actually a corporate accountant. He's CFO for Sega, and he's very good at that stuff. But I worked on that theory for 13 years of my life, and since I'm 5 years old, I've always had that idea. It does apply. If you have physical reality and the mathematical reality of numbers is that 1 is the same in identity to any number over 1, then that actually would apply. The only reason I'm trying to establish is this is some possibility for motivation for what they're doing to me at the market. And that's just a way outside thing. You can totally dismiss it and abandon it. I don't mind, but you've been informed. I mean, it's more likely that it's either that, politics, or my artwork, which deals with nudity and eroticism, and I confront the CIA MK Ultra program. Did you take a look at my website that day? Do you want to? You want me to write it down for you?
Yeah.
Here, I got it. So anyway, harassment was something that I was expecting. I'd reported to my Howard Center people. So, thank you. Yeah, that was the point, man. My last one was really beautiful, and then my email got locked out, so I just had to throw them away. So I just said, okay, black and white. Disturbance of the peace. If somebody says something to somebody with the specific intention of provoking a physical reaction, inciting them, which is aggressive, my reading and understanding of the law and my research was that that's a disturbance of the peace. That would be it. I wonder...
I talked to Jan, after he had a phone call.
Of the management team?
Yeah, and, I think, I agree with her that, you're obviously a very smart guy.
Thank you.
You obviously take care of yourself. The issue is, I don't think, with my episode, I don't think it would be fair for you to go through a trial and potentially be put on probation or put in jail. I don't think that's fair. Because I don't think...
I'm having trouble believing you right now, to be honest with you.
Why is that?
Just, your face is red, your countenance shows that your smile is upturned. I'm autistic. I interpret social signals very differently than you do. What you just did there indicates to me that there's something else. I think you may... Are you... Look, man, I kind of like you. I don't want to...
You're an interesting guy. I do my job, and I do it the best I can.
Are you covering up for cop misconduct?
No. I was just trying to blow cops up over at court because they kept circling that they've got cruiser video of cops and then saying that they don't have it.
All right. Okay, so... Okay, I understand. You don't want me to go through a trial process and risk a conviction.
Yeah, I don't think that would be fair. Because I do not think... I think you've got serious mental health issues, and I do do not think it would be fair for you to go to trial.
You think that my serious mental health issues make it an unfair?
Yes.
This is actually a very crucial point to understand. Which of my mental health issues precludes me from fairness in the trial process?
Paranoid schizophrenia?
I do not have paranoid schizophrenia, sir. Schizoaffective is the diagnosis. That is not. It's not paranoia. If you listen, that's a big thing for you to do.
You're paranoid, and I generally, the way you talk to me, I think you're also paranoid. You just asked me if I was telling you something.
Well, you're not willing to get evidence to prove they committed crimes against me. Why wouldn't I think you would?
I am willing to get evidence. In fact, my investigator, who I sent over there to get a statement from both the security guys over there, who's typing it up right now, he hasn't asked me yet, I sent him over there to ask specifically about the video. And I told you exactly what happened with the video. Is that just because he said he saw you on the video doesn't mean it was recorded. And even if it was recorded, he said that it's been recorded over right now because it didn't actually show the interaction between you two.
So the interaction?
Yes. He says he showed you walking in and he showed you walking out with the police officer.
So that is an interaction.
But not the assault. So that's why he didn't think it was valuable. He recorded over it.
What you just said to me is that the security officer didn't think it was valuable because of an assault which wasn't reported.
Apparently, the police saying you assaulted them or you resisted arrest. You saying you were assaulted by him while he was trying to put you under arrest?
No, I had already submitted, and I was cuffed with my hands behind my back and on my belly, as he told me to do, and he told me to roll over to my right. So I did it without thinking, trusting him, and I did it. And my head slammed into something about that hard, like that, and my head hurt very bad. Excuse me, I don't mean to kind of scary. It hurt, dude. I've had problems. I actually woke up dizzy about 2 weeks ago, and I got sick from being dizzy, dude. And I was in the cop car, and then on the way back, and then he slammed the brakes on, and my head slammed right into the bulletproof glass divider.
Did you put seatbelt on?
No. It's a little. It makes me wonder why the timing was what it was, because he did it right in front of the federal building, right in the only camera between City Market. There's no other camera. That is where the only place he could have done it and gotten a record of it, and it was right in front of Cherry.
Why do you want a record?
I don't know. That's why it's inexplicable to me. Either he's got something with the freaking federal security, or it was a coincidence, or he just wanted to show he can do it because he can't get caught. How do I know? But that's just where it happened, and that evidence would be available, so we can prove whether or not that happened.
Right? In your defense.
If he assaulted me,
and you weren't trespassing,
then the arrest was legal.
It happened after you.
Okay, so when I was in custody, and are you saying it doesn't matter how they treat me after they arrest me?
It doesn't matter how they treat you. It doesn't affect your
culpability to be convicted?
Sue them. More than likely to do that.
If I sue, I'm going to sue. Believe me, I've been backed into the wall enough. I'm going to sue Nash. I'll get to that. But in a civil case, I can get that evidence I can subpoena the federal evidence.
You know where to subpoena it, yeah.
Okay. How is it not important to see video evidence of me interacting with the cops? That he says they don't record.
If they had it, you would get it.
They don't have it.
I cannot in good faith subpoena him to produce evidence that he has said does not exist.
The rationale for its not existing is that it was destroyed. So we know that there was evidence that was picked up by the surveillance. Is he saying that they don't record their surveillance?
I have to go ask him exactly what happened. I don't know if it wasn't recorded or if it was recorded. I don't know which one of those two happened.
Okay, that's a very big deal. You might want to just go in there and just take a look at where the security cameras are.
It's different now. I talked to them about this.
They changed them?
Yeah. They said now they cover everything. Now the video covers everything. And they support it. They got new systems.
I'm expecting resistance because you haven't really complied yet, but would you be able to get the work order for that change?
Why would that be useful? What would that
because
prove?
Maybe they're not
how
telling
would
the
that
truth.
How would that prove that you did not trespass?
It would prove whether or not they're covering up assault.
Why would they cover up assault?
Because they want the cops on their side? I don't know.
They want the cops on their side.
Because they colluded? Because it happened on their property and they can be sued for it if they entrapped me or if their ban was illegal? If I was entrapped. When I called up the city market and spoke with the manager there, what I said was, I said, look.
You haven't got a call from the police yet at all. Peggy said she called them.
Oh, with the yesterday?
So I don't know if I still don't know if you're going to get a VCR. Hopefully they just are just going to ignore it.
What's a VCR?
Violation of conditions.
I called the cops. I called the public defender.
So you talked to the police?
I did. She said that if they reported it, then they'd have to address it. That it would be.
Hopefully they want to report it. So you're going to have to address it. I don't know what they told them, but hopefully they understand the situation.
There's certainly not any danger. I mean, I'm not,
Well, no.
I'll just volunteer.
It's not the danger part of it. It's whether or not you violate it.
I honestly was confused because you had asked me if I spoke to them about the evidence at one point.
Because I was concerned that you had contact with them.
I thought that you wanted to know if I had gotten any new information about the evidence. If I had remembered this I never would. I'm very, very strict about that kind of stuff. So that's a misunderstanding on my part, I suppose.
Do you want to give me an answer report, or do you want to keep it yourself? That's up to you.
No, I'll go. I'm just putting something together in my mind. Why is it not important to give all the surveillance evidence from the time that the cop saw me, from the time that he walked around, proving all of his statements? Because that wouldn't be just in that one blind spot.
They don't need that. Would that be important? If they had it, yes. It would be important.
Why don't they need it? You said they don't need that?
No, they don't need it. Because they have a police officer come in and stay with themselves. And they can have a security people come in and stay with themselves. So they don't need that to prove yet.
Well, does that give them the right to destroy it when it's been asked for and requested?
They can do what they want. It's not in the police custody. They can do what they want with it.
They can do what they want with it until it's subpoenaed?
I don't know. I mean, if you subpoena it before it was reported over.
I asked you for that subpoena. Do you remember that? I even the first meeting we had, and then I wrote to the court and told them that it was ineffectiveness of counsel because you were not complying, and that could be deleted because you didn't fulfill that evidence request. So if they deleted it since I requested it, that would be their fault, wouldn't it?
I don't think so.
If you could have gotten it and didn't, and they deleted it because you failed as a counselor to get it, then maybe it's your fault. I mean, I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm just trying to get evidence, and I'm trying to prove what happened. So it seems to me that you've allowed the evidence to be erased.
Well, up until our first meeting, and what he told me, I don't know exactly how long it takes for me to destroy it, before they report it over.
I can help you with that a little.
Our first meeting, I had this report from Dr. Cotton saying we're not saying that's not saying.
Yes.
And so I did not pursue it.
Because Dr. Cotton said I'm incompetent, you don't need to subpoena for evidence?
Well, I don't go back to the office with the file and immediately subpoena everything that's in there.
Well, that's not everything you imagine. It's one specific piece of evidence related to my case.
And I don't do that right away. Okay, when I got the report.
This is 5 months later. Now they've had a chance to delete it. So that evidence is gone because you failed to act. And
maybe not.
Okay, maybe it's not. Can you go through Department of Homeland Security to get that?
I have no reason to believe they would have that.
Is a food center a terror target?
I don't know.
If there's a terror strike on this city, what is the most likely place that people will go in a panic? I just know this. They go for food. The food center has to be connected to the Department of Homeland Security surveillance apparatus. It also is regulated by the municipality. This is not the same as.
You know this? How do you know this?
I don't know honestly how I know it. Okay. I'm usually proved right.
Like you will once you go to trial.
you're not being specific. What am I going to be proved right about this going to trial?
Well, you think you're going to be acquitted.
I think I can be acquitted.
There's no doubt that you're going to be acquitted.
How can you say I have no doubt if I've told you it's possible that I can be? I have grave doubts. I have grave doubts because I'm not getting the evidence I need to prove the case. But I'm overwhelmingly confident that the cop has committed multiple counts of perjury on that report. That report is a piece of garbage. Excuse me. It's riddled with. The guy tries to cover his ass. He says that he called the cop to come to the store when he saw me go in there, but that he was already there. There were 2 cop cars there, and no new cop cars showed up. So that's a lie.
Okay. Or mistake.
He mistakenly says that his officer wasn't on the scene when he was. He mistakenly says that he sent somebody to my house when he didn't. He mistakenly didn't know that the officer was there already, right next to him. That's a mistake and not a lie.
Why would he lie about something like that?
So he would not be convicted of perjury or entrapment.
So he deliberately misrepresented the fact. Why?
Because
why would he lie about requesting another police officer if one was standing right next to him? Why would he lie about that?
My guess is because he may believe that if he didn't say that, I was very vocal about expressing the possibility for entrapment on my Facebook and other places. Maybe they got wind of that. Maybe they thought it was the entrapment if they didn't say that. Maybe, how...
They know what entrapment is. This is not entrapment.
Did they try to prevent the crime?
They saw a crime occurring and they went out and they tried to arrest you.
No, they waited for the crime to occur.
Waited.
They went to the store and waited for me to commit the crime.
Did they tell you could go to the market?
They didn't tell me I could commit murder either, but you don't wait for a murder to happen before you arrest a person, do you?
If they said, hey Dana, it's the police, we're down at City Market, why don't you come down and talk to us? And you came down there and they said, we're arresting you for trespass. That's entrapment.
Yes, it's entrapment.
Yes.
Is that the limit of the parameter of entrapment? So
they would have to. You would have. The entrapment is you would have not committed the crime, but for the action with the police.
Okay. Why would he lie? I don't know, but he did. There were 2 cop cars there. So he lied. If he's lying on the report in one spot, why can't he be trusted on another spot of the report?
And why would he lie about that?
I can only speculate on his motivation, but I'm asking, if he's lying on one part of the report, why is it not important to establish?
You can establish lots of different things. Apparently, the only thing that could have been established by the video is you walking in, and then you walking out in handcuffs. That's the only thing that could have been established.
When I defended myself from the cop, he flew back across the room a little bit. That would have landed him in a different section of the store, which would have been picked up by cameras. So the interaction is.
How do you know it would have?
Because because I've been in that store hundreds of times, and I know where those little cameras are. I used to look at them all the time.
Okay.
They're covered in the produce section. They're covered in that aisle, and the aisle that goes to the left by the health food section, which is right with the central cross section of the store, the cross of the store. That's where he was. That would evidence that I did resist arrest. That would show that I did it. That interaction would have picked up. So I don't know why. I can only speculate why he would have lied about it. But perjury is perjury, isn't it?
He knowingly misrepresented it.
That's what I'm saying he did.
Why would he knowingly misrepresent that?
Well, how would I know? It doesn't make any sense that he would do that. Well, maybe he doesn't know what entrapment is. Maybe he's not a qualified cop. He didn't read me my rights. I mean, how am I supposed to guess why the guy lied if he lied? I'm just saying he definitely lied. So why is it not important to prove if he lied or not?
It is important to prove he lied.
Okay, good. So, all right, so there we go. He's lying in a lot of different areas on the report.
And so how do we show he's lying?
Well, we can talk to witnesses. That's why I wanted to
Okay,
get...
and then we talked to a couple of the witnesses, and we're not subpoenaing, records of customers there. I think that's frivolous.
You mean the witnesses are the security people?
The witnesses that they call as security people. You know anybody else that was there?
Yes.
Who else was there?
There was about 15 people there. They were storing...
Names?
How would I know their names? That's why we would go for the records to find out who shops there. Why not?
Because I think that's frivolous.
It's frivolous to find out what happened? It's frivolous
to request records of customer transactions for we don't know what they're going to say. If you said, I saw my buddy, I saw Joe Smith. Joe Smith was standing right behind the cop when this whole thing happened. You could get Joe Smith.
I'm having a difficult time understanding why you have to know the witnesses.
Because we can't do a dragnet and pull all these people in.
There's not. You can't pull a dozen people in. You can't ask employees of the store to witness it.
We're asking who else employed it. I don't know if he asked him. I don't know if Justin asked if anybody else witnessed it.
I've been very clear that there was a lot of witnesses. It's on the statement that there were many witnesses.
Okay.
So that witness testimony would be important.
What do you think they'll say?
I think they'll report exactly what happened, which contradicts the report, which says that he didn't say I was under arrest. He just put his hands on me. He did not. Listen, I'm a trained police dispatcher. I come from a military family. I respect cops all my life. If somebody says to me, "You're under arrest," my first reaction, my reflex is to go like this. I've never been placed under arrest in my life. He didn't do that. I was telling him I had the right to get water. And he said, "Okay, put your hands on your head," and grabbed me. And without thinking, I just did a little judo thing, and that's what happened. But he doesn't say that in the report, so I think they'll say that he didn't say I was put under arrest. I didn't turn and push him. What I did was this. I went like this. I stepped back and went a wax off, like it's a wax on, wax off thing. I mean, that's a little murky on that particular thing. In a way, it's a push, but he's definitely not being accurate about the rest of it. I mean, because I can take a look at that sworn affidavit, and I'll get to Nash. Do you think it's possible for you? What I think they will say is that there's been. Let me ask you a question. If a cop omits something from a police report in order to cover up a crime, is that perjury?
No, I think it has to be. I think it has to be more. I think it has to affirmatively misrepresent something deliberately.
So if he keeps something out of the record, that's not deliberately misrepresenting something?
If it's something that's crucial to the charge, maybe. I haven't looked into perjury at all. I don't defend perjury.
I'm just asking. I mean, if the cop keeps something out because he can get in trouble for it, is that a crime?
If the cop what?
If the cop keeps something out of the report, it could get him into trouble. Yeah. If he committed a crime and he doesn't put it in the report because he can be scrutinized.
There's another charge called dereliction of duty, I think. That, if he does something like that, I've never heard of anybody besides the maybe one police officer. Principal not to do something.
So perjury omission is not.
I do not think that that's perjury. I think it has to be maybe dereliction of duty.
Okay. Then I think that the witnesses could facilitate new information that was not recorded that would be important to determining the legality of that arrest.
Okay.
So it would be important to get that witness testimony.
So if the judge says they're confident, then I'll go ahead and try to find it. I still think it's frivolous. I don't think we'll win because the city market level is, and then that's tough.
I'm not entitled to information to witness testimony?
I think that if we
go to trial.
I won't. I think it's frivolous. The city market for their records, for their purchase records between that time, city market will send a lawyer saying, no, you don't get it.
Okay, well, that doesn't make me not want to get the evidence. That may be, but I don't see, first of all, why not to do it. I can't see a reason not to get witness testimony. And remember, even if we don't go and get the testimony of the shoppers, you certainly can get it from the employees. You can simply go, whoever witnessed it, could you please have them speak with this attorney? And that shouldn't be too difficult.
Yeah, and I'll talk with Justin afterwards.
Great. So you're going to get some witnesses, testimony from the guys who witnessed it, the employees that went security, just like the workers?
I'll see if they say if anybody's around.
Okay, I know there was a tall mulatto or African-American Creole guy witnessed it, about 6'3". He was there.
Okay.
Okay, so you will do that. Good. Right, what else? All right, Nash. All right.
What would Nash say?
Nash told me that he would stand by a false positive.
He would stand by a false positive.
Yeah.
Is that the word that he used?
Right. No. Let me explain what happened. I went in there. I did this test. He totally misrepresented and misquoted what I said, and the misquotes that he used were all specifically related to the determination of competency. For example, not the determination of my history. My life history that he recorded is almost entirely accurate to what I said, almost word for word. But when he gets to the point where he's quoting me as to my feelings about the arrest, what happened, what I said about the arrest, all of that stuff, it's almost completely wrong. It's just wrong. He's actually basing his determination on false information. So I told him that. I said, look, besides, I've got about 40 spelling errors, I've got anaculophons, I've got grammatical and syntactical errors that are, abysmal. We're talking third, fourth grade level stuff. He calls me Miss Phelps in it. He truncates very important speech. He omits very important things, such as my feelings about pharmaceutical medication. I don't want to have a sodium fluoride compound, which he wants to force me to use. So he also violated HIPAA law. He told me specifically that he was going to get information, get my signature to talk to my mom. It's a very sensitive subject with me. And, I said, look, I don't want you talking to her. If you're going to talk to her, I only want you to have very specific questions. You tell me what they're going to be, and he told me what they were going to be. And then he had an hour-long conversation after getting that signature. He also told me that part of his process would be to witness me, to observe you and I together, communicating to determine whether or not I was capable of, and he did not do that. His report is Swiss cheese. So he actually told me to go ahead and correct the grammar and spelling errors, get the incompetent and insane guy to correct his work, and that even if the facts change, he will stand by his decision. So he's standing by non-factual data. It's not a good report. I'm not going to be forced onto drugs. One of the whole points of me going to the city market was to regulate myself so that I wouldn't have things like sodium fluoride compounds, which are a neurotoxin and a drug. It's a sedative. They're starting to say, you have to take drugs because you didn't want to take drugs. So Dr. Nash's report, the only real good thing is it says I'm suffering from major PTSD, which is true, and I can use that to get my license for cannabis, or a permit. It'll help for that, which I've appealed to the state board for, incidentally. So Nash's report is about 80% fiction. I have a major problem with it. I don't believe that he calls me delusional. I don't actually have delusions. He calls me delusional.
I'm sorry you spent your money on it. Didn't get you his audio. I can tell you I'm gonna move the court to appoint a guardian ad litem.
I'm getting a new attorney. If you're gonna do that, I'm not gonna allow you to do that. I can't.
I should have appointed a guardian ad litem, requested a guardian ad litem twice. So for the 15th,
you'll be replaced.
Guardian ad litem is there, or you can hire you.
I'm gonna have to if you're gonna do that. I'm not going to go to a psychiatric institution. I'm not going to be taking drugs. And that's the end of the story. Do you believe? What are the chances that I'd be hospitalized? That they'd force me into a hospital? I spoke with an attorney about that. It's a possibility.
I don't know. It's a possibility if you won't, take the medication, they may have to have you hospitalized. tell you what, their bed space is really thin. For someone who isn't out there, causing all sorts of problems.
Thank you.
Like they've got people who need to be in because they're out, like screaming at the walls and stuff like that. You're not one of those people, okay? Bed space is very minimal right now because they don't have a state hospital. They put people down to bottom of the street, or they put them at, step 6, or they put them at,
They just fired 80 employees.
Yeah. So, I cannot give you any guarantees about whether or not you'll be hospitalized, but I can say that based on what other people I see hospitalized, I do not think you will be hospitalized.
Great. Can you tell me, in that case, what the protocol would predictably be? Would that mean counseling, psychiatry? Would they want me to take drugs?
Step 1 would be on the 15th, there would be an order of non-hospitalization that I would sign, his guardian would sign, and his attorney would sign. Okay? That order would be you have to engage in psychiatric treatment, probably through the Howard Center.
Oh, I will not do that.
Okay, that's step 1. Okay, you refuse to do it, they bring it back. They say the person is not abiding by the order of non-hospitalization, so they will request a hospitalization hearing. They want to do that. They want to say, yes, we want to spend the money to put Dana Phelps in a hospital because he's not abiding by this, and that's what they will do.
Okay. That's alarming to me. I don't really see where I'm incompetent to begin with, or where I need drugs or need to be returned to a state of competency. I'm not going to say anything different if I'm on those drugs. Let me think. Okay, there's something else I wanted to bring up. The managing attorney, she said that she had an ethical constraint for getting the evidence. I spoke with her at length yesterday. Let me ask you, is it legal to record a conversation? I read in the state of Vermont one party has to understand that they're being recorded, but one doesn't. But there's other stipulations that you have to let them know and service it with a beep. In the state of Vermont, what do you know about that?
I have no idea.
You don't know that? Okay. Let's see. There's a crucial point. I spoke with an attorney today, a defense attorney. I appreciate your time. I just walked in. I didn't have too much prepared, but this attorney would not represent me as a defense attorney because he had an affiliation with City Market.
Okay.
Do you feel that's a conflict of interest?
For him, yeah.
Would it be for anybody in the court system?
If they were what?
Like members or had some affiliation?
If they were on the board.
So not members of the co-op. They have to be pretty high up.
I don't know if an ethical person would say being a member of the co-op.
Well, they could be sued.
A member couldn't be sued.
It's a co-op, so you could make a claim on every member of the co-op for damages.
Every member of the co-op wouldn't be liable for damages.
They wouldn't? Okay. I never checked that, and I didn't claim that was true, you see? Some things I just know are right, and some things I don't, and the ones that I know usually prove true. Hello.
Hi, Dana.
Oh, good to meet you.
Yesterday, but the attorney in his office is here, so you're going to have to.
I think we're done for now.
Yeah, that's great. I appreciate you meeting with me. Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Good to meet you, ma'am.
Here?
Oh, can I get a moment of your time?
Not right now.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. All right, take care.
Yeah, take care.